Alright, I'm in the process of making a bunch of rock to point videos. So, next one on the list, I think, is either this rock or this rock. These are European nodules of flint. Same batch from before, from Angelo. I think I'm going to choose this one here. I think that's what I was looking at earlier. So this one is more cracked and weather damaged than the other one, it appears, just at first inspection. So I'm going to do the harder one, the more difficult one first. I don't know which one is the harder flint, but this one looks like it's more difficult. It could also be harder flint to work with, not just the cracks, but the actual consistency of the material. Yeah, it's already got surprise flaws, flaws that'll surprise you. See that little crack in there? That's not too good. Now that one probably broke. I was going to say it probably broke along the lines of an existing crack. And there are many existing cracks. Yeah, what causes that? I think weathering, heat and frost cycles cause that. Can I still use it? Well, we're going to see. Sometimes there's good spots. If there's any good spots, I'll use it. It's not too encouraging so far, but we'll see. Well, that doesn't look too bad. I don't know if that looks usable. We shall see. I just loosened that up because I saw there was a crack there, so existing crack, so you just open it up along the existing crack and it usually tells you where it's going. Yeah, it told me where it's going, and it's revealing some other issues. We shall proceed. Proceed with much caution and trepidation. Yep. Why did I hit it there? So I can take a piece off. So I can take a good piece off to see if there's anything in this of use. And it looks like probably not. It's a crack that goes in through here. Now, some of you might want me to explain exactly why I hit certain places. Explain why I hit certain places. Well, what you're not realizing is sometimes I don't know why I hit in certain places. Other than I want to flake it. I want to flake it. Just like that kids film, I want to move it. I want to flake it. I don't always know. You might say, well, I want to know when you don't know. I want to know everything, whether you know or not know, exactly if there's a plan or not a plan. If there is a plan, exactly what is the plan. If there's not a plan, why there's not a plan. Blah, 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 blah. On and on and on. Endless. Ad infinitum, or whatever. I don't speak Latin. I don't need to speak Latin to Flintknap. After a while, I stopped answering those questions. Exactly why this, why that. And I was thinking about, perhaps there's a good reason for me to explain why I don't explain why. Yeah. And something came up that I read in a book by Miyamoto Musashi, or the Japanese swords expert. Swordsman, samurai, the best one ever. Won 60 duels, one-on-one, 60. He said that the ultimate goal is the void in your skill, which means you don't have to think about it. You just know. Yeah. It's the void. You just know. You try to explain what you just know. There's no explanation because you just know it. Same with Flintknapping. Why do I hit in a certain spot? I've been doing this 14 years. I'm getting to the point where I don't care why I know it. I don't care why I hit a certain spot. Not really. Sometimes if I want to, I will think about it. But I don't have to think about it. I've reached the point where there is a void, where I don't have to think about it. And why I don't need to know why either. If I were to explain why, I'd be doing you a disservice, because if I don't know why, I might just be tempted to make something up, and then you'd be lost if you follow it. So pay attention, please, very carefully. That's why I made videos starting when I wasn't so experienced. I have very old videos from 2011, I think, is when I first started. You can go back and look at what I was doing when I was first starting to make videos. I had already been napping for, I don't know, 3 years. Probably technically 4 years before I started making videos. But the first arrowheads I made, I used to make with very stupid tools. So I wasn't really doing any flint napping, really. I was just doing flint nipping. I was nipping with pliers. Anyway, long story short, for you new guys who want me to explain everything, it's all in my videos. That's why I made over 1,500 videos so far. Okay. I know you didn't realize, you didn't look. That's cool. I mean, you don't look at other channels either. You don't look at how much they've done, how many videos in the past. You don't do a search on other videos for topics that you're interested in, or you don't do search for on other channels, I should say, for topics. But you can do a search on my channel, or just a search for Jack Crafty videos. Put in Jack Crafty tools, Jack Crafty Obsidian, Jack Crafty raw stone, Jack Crafty silent or no talk videos. I have videos where I don't talk. I also have 2 other channels. One is Flintknapping. It's called Allergic Hobbit. 2 words. It's a Flintknapping video with only natural tools, if you're interested in that. I also have a philosophy channel. You're probably not interested in that, so I'll let you find that on your own. Okay. So this stone here, getting back to our regularly scheduled programming, this stone looks like it has the same issues as the other one. Internal cracks due to weathering. Which means it's probably not going to be nappable unless I can find a clear piece. Now, some people might want me to split this exactly in half, because I've been known to do that sometimes. And I don't think I'm going to do it on this one. But I am going to look for the opportunities to take flakes. Don't ask me why I hit exactly right there, and why I use that much force, and why I use that angle that I used. I could have used variations, subtle variations of what I did. Why I used that variation? It's because I already know. I'm in the void. I already know. I don't need to know why or how. It's just subconscious. How do I know to tap this? I don't know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm just looking for a place to hit. Let's see if this is worth hitting. I can make arrowheads out of some of this stuff. There might be one in one of these pieces. Might be an arrowhead in one of these pieces. I haven't found one I can save that's really good. Let me think. This one looks all right, so I'll save that one. And this one looks all right, as long as these cracks, the incipient bulb in there, the bulb of percussion, if it doesn't go too far in, I can use that. This one, I don't like it too much because there's cortex. Usually those are dicey. I have many options to hit in different places. Many options to hit. Why I hit in one option and not the other? If I actually knew, the reason might be stupid instead of smart. You ever think of that one? No? Yeah, the reason might actually be stupid because I might be working off a misconception. I might be taking unnecessary risks. I mean, it's actually a rabbit hole. You start going down a rabbit hole when you start answering questions like, tell me exactly why you do everything. That, my friend, is what we call a rabbit hole in internet parlance. Yeah, if you're a denizen of the interwebs, you know what rabbit holes are on the interwebs. This is technically on the interwebs, you know, my YouTube channel. I don't want to go down rabbit holes on my YouTube channel. I already got tired of it, trying to explain. Actually, some people are actually better at explaining what I do than me explaining what I do. I had this one guy, I was tutoring somebody at a Knapping, and I had this one guy watching me tutoring somebody else. And he was better at spotting the advantages or disadvantages of striking in certain areas than I was. And as I was explaining, he would listen, wouldn't say anything, but if I didn't explain, he would be able to take over and tell the guy. And he would be right. And I'm thinking, why do I even need to explain this? People understand this better than I do. Yeah. He knew, and I'm going, you know, he's right. I mean, I did hit that apparently because of blah, blah, blah. I mean, it made sense. I really didn't know exactly. I tried to explain it, but no, it made more sense the way he was explaining it. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't need to explain this all the time. And what about the people who just don't get it? They need an explanation. Yeah, I know. I know that you guys are out there. I don't know what to tell you. Other than it doesn't matter all that much. Not compared to practice. That's a healed seam. Compared to practice, explaining is very obsolete. Or very, how should I say, insignificant. And you'll realize that as you go along. You don't realize it right away because you're totally lost in the beginning. But as you get better, you'll realize that practice is more valuable than the instruction. Now, the instruction can get you to where you're making stuff faster. Okay? Because it does help you to do the shortcuts. But someone else is telling you where to hit. Once you don't have the instruction of where to hit or how to hit, you're lost again, unless you remember. And most of us remember only like 10% of what we're told. So yeah, you may be able to advance quicker even with the 10% of what you absorbed. Yeah. So there is an advantage to get tutoring, but it's not, like I said, it's not significant in comparison to practice. Now you might say, well, if I practice wrongly, it doesn't get me anywhere. Yeah, that's true. So how do I not practice wrongly? Just like all of us practiced not wrongly. You stop doing what doesn't work. If it's not working, I mean seriously, if you can tell it's not working, switch it up. You might say, well, what about the times when you said that you just do things over and over, same way over and over until you get different results? What about that? That doesn't say nothing about stopping. That says continue. Okay, well, continue then. It's up to you. I'm just telling you, you can do it. You have options. You can stop, do something else, or you can continue. If you know that it works, like let's say that you have a very good memory, and you know that I just took a flake off on an edge like this. So you know that it works. You just don't know how the arrangement is in order to get it to work. But if you find yourself in that situation many times, and you just keep trying to do the same thing that I just did, that's what I mean by doing something over and over again until you get the different results. You expect different results, and eventually you will get different results. Most of the time you'll get crushing, and when you're first starting, you'll get this kind of stuff. You'll hit it and it won't do this. It won't take off a flake. Just keep doing it over and over and over. If you're the kind of guy that says, I need to learn this in 2 weeks or I'm giving up, then you need to move on already. You're not going to do well in Flintknapping. Expect to spend 2 years before you can make anything. 2 years. Expect 2 years before you can make anything. 2 years, and I would say how much you can go through 100 pounds a month, right? So that's a lot of pounds of rock. Let's see, 4,800 pounds, 2 tons. That's how much it takes some people. Now that's every single day, or that's pretty much napping all every day. So people usually don't do that much. But you can expect reasonably to use up 100 pounds a month if you have that much available. Spending 2 years, 2 hours a day, 2 hours a day, 2 years, 100 pounds a month to get to where you can make what you want. Now, did I do that? I'm trying to think. How long it took me 2 years of making gravel. Well, 1 year I was just nipping instead of napping. The year after that is when I started making all the gravel, all this stuff, because I could not spall or get flakes off in the beginning very easily. I would just crack it all with a hammer and then pick through the flakes and pick the flat ones and then nip around the edges with a pair of pliers. And then after a year of doing that, I learned to crack stones open and get a bunch of bigger flakes. All right. I think I used 80 pounds a month. At least, or 1 bucket of rocks is like 80 pounds a month. And I had access to rocks because we had a landscaper nearby. I should say landscape supply yard that had bowl gravel, which is Texas chert, very tough. It looks a lot like this for landscaping, and they would sell me an 80-pound bucket. I'd bring my own bucket, gather up all this gravel about this size. Bull gravel comes in about this size for putting in your landscape. For like $10 a $10 a bucket. How much is that? 80 pounds. You know, that's pretty cheap for $10. And then I guess it went up to like 15 after a couple years. But anyway, I spent years working on like a bucket a month, 80 pounds a month. I haven't done this math before, so let me just bear with me for a minute. If I round it to 100, it makes it much easier. So I probably went through 1,000 pounds the first year of making gravel, and then it tapers off after that, because then I was more selective of what I was napping. I knew what not to nap and what to nap, because I could just look at the stone and say, nah, I can't nap that. That's way too tough. So I think 2 years, 1,000 pounds a year, when I started making progress. I still could not make what I wanted until the third year. And I think it was the fourth year, or maybe even the fifth year, that I started to get good at heat treating, which changed the whole ball game. I had a whole yard full of flakes that were suitable size, but never got around to it because there's no way I could have napped that much, and they were very difficult to nap. But then heat treating all of a sudden doubled the amount of stuff that I could easily nap. So I didn't have to purchase very much more after that. I had saved up a lot of my flakes. So I think I had 1,000 pounds of flakes saved up for those years where I was heat treating. And every year after that, my stash has gone down in terms of the amount that I procure every month or every year. Okay? Now, I've not done the math, like I said, and it's hard for me to figure this out. You know, honestly, truthfully, I don't know. 100 pounds. I can easily still go through 100 pounds a month. But I think I don't go through more than 100 pounds, although sometimes I think I can go up to 400 pounds a month. Depends on how much I get. So I get between 50, I would say, and 400 pounds a month. Sometimes there's months where I don't have any that I bring in. So the average still would be like 100 pounds a month, I'm guessing. Okay, so I'm just letting you know this so you can know what to expect. I was not able to make what I wanted until about 3 years in. And all I wanted to make was the hunting size points. That's what I wanted to make. And the little true arrow points. I was satisfied with that. I didn't want to make big blades. I wasn't doing it for money. I was doing it as a meditative and hobby exercise. Kind of like just something that I could do that was cheap. I don't have any money to spend on this stuff. Or I didn't at the time. I have 6 children. And not much time to spend on a hobby. So I would just leave everything as is. If I was called upon to do something, just leave it there as is. Go in, take care of whatever, come back, and then restart again, because I just leave all my tools out, all my chips scattered, everything in place in a private area where no one messed with it. And I can just come and go, maybe sometimes 15 minutes at a time, maybe an hour, maybe 3 hours. It was rare that I had 3 hours alone to myself, but sometimes it happened. And I'll be able to sneak into my shop and take the time. So that's how it was. And then when I started making videos, I was already able to make some of the stuff I wanted. But I was not close to being proficient enough to just do it by subconscious. I still had to think about it quite a bit. It turns out that looking back, I didn't need to work as hard as I worked. I could have just practiced and practiced and practiced and not worry too much about thinking too much. But, you know, we all go through that. We all go through the thinking stage, and how did they used to do it? Should I try to duplicate or reproduce stuff? What kind of tools should I be using? Is it more ethical to use natural tools or is it just better in terms of being able to nap stone? Is natural tools better for the nappability, or is it ethically better? It's a strange thing to think about ethics when in flint napping, but some people, they think it's odd that you're using modern tools to nap in a way that is something that they used to do in the ancient past. You know, they don't care that you use modern methods to create ancient looking pottery, but they do care that you use modern methods to make ancient looking arrowheads. I don't know why. Anyway, as an example. But yeah, you go through that stage. It doesn't matter. And I'm not on a quest to do anything except show how I flint nap for my children, my grandchildren, and for the people who benefit from it. I'm not here to answer the little nitpickety questions if I don't want to. Yeah. I don't owe you an explanation of how I'm doing it. If I give you an explanation, it's out of generosity. Yeah. I don't know, some people don't think that way. They think if you're going to do it right, and I want it now. Yeah, okay. I understand the mentality. Believe me, I've lived with people like that. They say, if you're going to do it right and do it now. Okay. Humanity would be better if you just listened to what I'm telling you. Yeah, of course. Yep. I know. I know. Dang it. This is not going well. It's not going well. It's going. I do have some pieces that I'm encouraged by. Yes. But it's not going well. And if it's because I'm not doing it right, it's because I'm not doing it right. Congratulations, you just figured out that I'm not doing it right. Yeah. You get a little badge. I'm going to give badges out at the end of the video for everyone who recognizes that I'm not doing it right. Okay? You get a little badge. I'm kidding, of course, right? I don't care. It doesn't really bug me. Okay, so, because I know that I don't do it right a lot of times. Sometimes I just hit the stone so I can feel what it's doing. Okay, but a lot of this stuff is very familiar. There's a lot of flakes. A lot of this stuff is very, very familiar in consistency to stuff I find in Texas. Oh yes. Okay. We have this stuff here. Now, I talk a lot about Texas rock because this is what I have access to. But I also work rock from other areas, in case you don't know. In case you're new to the channel. As for instance, I have this lovely piece of hornstone that is some of my favoritist material in the whole world that I'm going to do something with. In comparison to this stuff, hornstone is like heaven. Yeah. And it comes from a very nice place too. Kentucky or Indiana. Two excellently nice places, not only for stone but for visiting. Oh yes. Texas is alright, but as SpongeBob would say, it's dumb old Texas. It's dumb old Texas. I know it is. I don't mind saying it. Now, this one has some issues, but it still naps well when it doesn't have these issues. It has some weathering cracks, which is to be expected near the cortex. Yeah, but I can probably get a biface. But I'm just digging into this just to show you that I will nap other things too. And I have napped other things. I think I can get something out of it. It does have some internal defects on this one too. Anyway, should I break into the rest of this European? I should just break into the rest of the European stuff. It's 30 minutes only, you know. You guys need an hour and a half to fall asleep, so I need to keep going with this. I need to talk about other stuff. Maybe I'll go into another rant about Miyamoto Musashi. One of my favorite dudes when I was in high school. I read that one of the few books that I actually read, the Book of Five Rings, when I was in high school. I read most of All Quiet on the Western Front. I read the Book of Five Rings. I read The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Became a Tolkien fan. All this stuff in like the senior year in high school, and then I didn't read anything else for years. When did I start reading again? I got into Audible maybe 5 years ago, or I subscribed to Audible or whatever, so that you can get credits every month. You can get a book on, you know, you pay like 16 bucks a month, and you get one credit, and you go, hoo, I got a credit, I can get a book. Yeah, 16 bucks. Some of the books are only like 10 bucks. So, riddle me that one, Batman. But anyway, you can buy more credits for like 11 bucks. So it all averages out. So I can read 100 books a year easily, or listen to them. Reading, no. Reading, I only can read maybe 2 books a year, just actual reading. But listening, I can do up to 100. And I did, but that's like $1,200 a year. No. If it's 12 bucks a book and I read 100, that's 1,200. Yeah, that's that much a year. So it's expensive. And I got kids, and I feel guilty. I'm not going to buy these books for myself when my kids need stuff. So I stopped doing it. But I've read over 200 books lately, or recently, mostly on philosophy. I've read hundreds of papers on archaeology, hundreds of archaeological and similar texts and studies. When I was at work, during my lunch break, you sit down. What do you do during lunch break? You get tired of surfing the internet, so I was reading archaeological studies at work, at my desk. I wouldn't go anywhere. I'd eat lunch on my desk. Why? Because I was attached to a shop, and they would come in. Just come into my office. Hey, can you help me? I need a drawing for this or that. So if I was there, I could respond, and yeah, okay. Also, if something needed to be inspected before being shipped or whatever, I go, okay. I go look. You need me to take pictures, I take pictures. Okay? Just leave me alone. Yeah, just for 10 minutes. Need to see if this has Clovis in the study. Dude, why are you talking like that? I worked around a lot of people that had accents. Not only family, but, co-workers and stuff. Anyway, where was I? I was about to compare this to a big pile of... never mind. It's velvety and very nice material. and naps really well, but it has a lot of issues. And you know what the saying is, when rocks have lots of issues, you got to bring out the tissues, because you're going to start crying. Yeah. If the rock has issues, make sure you got lots of tissues. That's the rule. And luckily I've got tissues available, because this is rough stuff as far as defects. Yeah, but it's the material itself is beautiful. And if you missed the last video before this, I made this point from some of this type stuff that's just beautiful material if it's clear. Maybe not in terms of looks, but in terms of nappability. It naps very well. Okay? So which one am I going to make stuff out of? I have one more to break into. Right there. I'm breaking into that next. This one is extremely heavy and dense, and what I'm going to do is bring out the cheater tool. I got two cheater tools. The 3.5 pound sledge, and the handle was much longer. I think I chopped 4 inches off. This is not what you think it is. There's a name for this small type of hammer, and I forget what it is. But anyway, it was a sledge. It had a longer handle. I cut that handle because I choke up on it when I'm doing the Flintknapping with it. And what I do is I hit and drop. Yeah. I hit and I drop. Why? Because I don't do it right. You should know that by now. I don't nap correctly. Oh, that's rough. I think this is stuff that you can actually make building bricks out of. Yeah. Which means it's not for napping. I'm trying to be nice. Let's see. Does it break with a conchoidal fracture? Is it conchoidal? Well, yes, it is. It does fracture with a slight conchoidal fracture. Why is it called conchoidal? Because it's supposed to look like a clam shell or oyster shell, like a conchoidal shell, this bulb. Alright, that's where it comes from? From the shape of a clam shell or oyster shell. In fracture mechanics, I think they also use the term conchoidal. But no one wants to know about fracture mechanics except us engineers. I went to engineer school, but I did not graduate because I did not want to crunch numbers my whole life, okay? I went to drafting school instead. Like a dummy, I stuck with engineering school because I wanted the money. I stuck with it for almost 5 years on a 6-year program. It was like 4.5 years on a 6-year program in engineering school, University of Texas. And I dropped out because I hated it and went to drafting school instead. All right, so now you know. But I learned about fracture mechanics, and I did tests. I was in laboratories with the goggles and everything, the lab coats and the goggles. Yeah, there was one lab where they gave us lab coats. Yeah, I don't remember what lab it was, but we had coats. I'm pretty sure. I might be making that up. Might be a dream of some sort. I know that we had put on safety gear for one of the labs. That I do know. I know I've worn the lab coat at least once in my career. Either at school or at work. Anyways, lab coats are cool because you instantly become credible. I make fun of lab coats. Okay. This, my friends, is what you call what do you call this? Does it have chert in it. I'm trying to think here. Is there any way possible that I could do it? Is the possibility greater than 0? Yeah, I keep thinking this is no puedo. No puedo. ¿Qué haces? No me haces nada. Can't do nothing with it. Whatever it is. I tried to speak Spanish and I used to, but I don't anymore. I forgot all of it. Some of it comes in to my mind, most of it is not right. But I remember the words. Is how to say them. I just don't know what they are. Alright. It's a weird thing, huh? You grow up when you're really little learning another language. It's still sitting there in the back of your mind. You just can't access it. The rock is saying, no me molestes. No me molestes, way. Okay. Alright, I'll stop bugging you. I'll stop bugging that rock. It's not nappable. Alright, so what are we going to do? Okay. All right, so I don't want to do this. This is the clearest, largest piece so far. I don't really want to nap this stuff though, but I'm going to, just because I need to send something back to Angelo for being generous enough to just send me this stuff. Yeah, for free. I got enough to work with, like with these two pieces. I'm pretty sure these two pieces remind me of little mises, measly mises. These two pieces remind me of the measly mises. I'll probably nap these two. Yeah. Do I want to do it now? No, I can't do it right now. I got other things to do. But at least I broke into these nodules, and they've been sitting there for a while. I got 2 pieces I'm going to nap on video. So 2 more in this series probably. Yeah. Yeah, once I break off the parts that are not nappable, there's some cracked areas on this, but I got them all. This one looks pretty good. Now this one can be heat treated, but I'm not going to heat treat. No, I'm just going to rough it, as they call it. We used to call it roughing it when we go camping without advanced gear. I don't know what they call it nowadays. What do they call it nowadays? You just go out into the woods with just primitive stuff, nothing fancy, and go camping. Anyway, yeah, okay. That's it as far as it goes. I don't want to reduce these down. I'm going to save these for later, much later. I'll keep them in a box so that I know I've got some. I think this is English style flint, but it could be from Denmark. Who knows? Northern Europe has got lots of flint,
So it could be from could be from the UK, but it could be from us somewhere else. As long as it's got chalk around it, it's a good quality flint. If it forms within chalk, which this did, it's good quality flint, and it's available in different areas over there. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah. All right, I'll just get a little thumbnail shot and I'll be done. Alrighty.